Part 2, Chapter 12, Jack Perrin, The Mystery of the UFO. Okay, so this was the sign that he saw on the top of the inside of the ship. Okay, so let's go back to what happened. The room where I was in was similar to the others, and it was illuminated the same way. After I got in with the two men, the door closed. I looked very surprised behind me because it looked like there wasn't a door there. I didn't know how that was possible because it was even a wall just like the others. After the door opened again and two more other people got in, bringing in their hand 2 tubes of red rubber, throwing it to the floor. With about 1 meter length, they were empty. One of these tubes was turned to a recipient in the form of a callus. On the other end, there was a species of, you know what frogs have on their feet? Those kind of spongy things that get glued to the mirror. And they applied it on his chin. And he showed the mark. Before that, the man was doing a task which compressed the tube on his hands like it wanted to take the air out. I didn't feel any pain at the time, just a little suction. Later, I had an itch and an irritation on that place. I found that the skin had been cut and squashed. Straight after they applied the tube, he saw blood going slowly into the callus until it was half full. After they stopped the operation, they took the tube and substituted it by another one and repeated the operation. This time, on the side of his chin. He also felt a sting on that place with a little itch after. Then they all left and he was by himself. He stood by himself for about half an hour. The room was empty. It just had a long seat on the middle that looked like a bed, but without any defined forms and not very comfortable for people to lie down. Because in the middle there was a bump, like a camel bump, but it was fluffy like rubber and covered by a gray material, also soft material. He sat down tired because all of those efforts of defense and by the emotion. Then he felt a strange smell and he didn't feel very good. It was like he was breathing a thick smoke that was suffocating him. And it smelled like burning tissue. It should have been that because looking at the wall, I saw that at the length of my head. They were going out from the tubes, perforated like a douche, like a shower, and from which there was leaving kind of smoke that was spreading in the room. So the smell was smoke. He didn't know if the smoke was already leaving when he arrived. He had nausea and he vomited. That happened on the corner of the compartment, and he felt sick like a dog. Finally, he started breathing better, but he was still nauseated because of the smell. He felt a little desperation without knowing what was going to happen to him. I should say that at the moment I had the least idea about the faces of these entities. The 5 of them were all dressed the same way, with skinny suits made of a thick but light tissue, gray with black listings, black here and there. The suits went until the neck, where they kind of bonded with a mask or a helmet made of a material of the same color. Same color, but rigid. And reinforced lower down and at the front by the stripes of metal, being one of them triangular to the level of the nose. These helmets were covering everything, only leaving visible the eyes, through which the 2 lenses, like the ones of 2 glasses. The man looked to me through those glasses. With their eyes that looked smaller than ours, or that could be the effect of the lens. All of them had light eyes, maybe blue, but I cannot guarantee. Over the eyes, counting on the height of the helmet, their head looks like their head looked like 2 of our heads, but you couldn't see anything from the outside. The only thing I can say is that it looked metal or rubber, but straighter. So there were 3 round tubes going from the back of their helmets. They looked like they were rounded and golden. I couldn't say if it was metal or rubber. They were straighter and they were lighter, and they went down through their backs, making a curve. They were connected to the suit, penetrating inside of it in the form difficult to describe. The middle one came next to the vertebral column. Meanwhile, the other 2 finished on their shoulder, like about 10 centimeters above their axilla, almost in the middle where the ribs start. I didn't see any volume or bump that could say that these tubes were gonna connect to a box or anything under the suit. This was an explanation that Villas-Boas gave him. He couldn't understand how they could breathe for so long under the helmets without having any reserve, 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 reservatory or any oxygen bottle like the like the like the people who do scuba diving. This is the photo, guys, of the image. The sleeves of these suits were long and tight on the wrists, prolonging through their gloves, thick of the same color, with 5 fingers, which wouldn't impede them from grabbing him easily and working with the other hand on the tubes when they did the blood collect. However, I noticed that they weren't capable of bending their fingers, like to touch the palm of their hands. The suits should be like uniform because all of the elements of the crew had the same symbol on their chest, round and red with the form of a pineapple. I want to see the symbol, round and red in the form of a pineapple, that sometime would emit some luminous reflections. But they weren't light produced directly by the emblems, but yes, reflections, like those that are reproduced by mirrors on cars when they are illuminated by other cars. This drawing of the middle, there was a small string of tissue, silvery tissue, or a metal laminated that would stick to a belt, a large belt, and without a closing. So it was a continuous belt. But you could distinguish the closing. You couldn't see any button or pockets. The pants were also tight on the waist, on the ankles, without any single crease, not existing a separation between the suit and the shoes that has soles with the thickness of 5 to 7 centimeters. The tip of the shoes was very curved, but without ending on a spike, like the ones that they talk on the stories in the past. The shoes looked too big for the feet of the individuals, that even though they could move easily, these suits should bother them a little bit, because when they moved, they did very rigid movements. They were the same height as me, maybe a little bit shorty, but counting with the helmet, except the one that had attacked me the first time next to the tractor, that wouldn't even get to my chin. They all seemed robust, though I think that I would lose if I could hit them once at a time, but then has nothing to do with the situation I was describing. After a while, I heard a noise on the door that made me jump. I turned in that direction and I had a big surprise. The door was open, and then a woman came in straight in my direction. She was walking slowly, maybe a bit she was having fun with the surprise that I had in my face. I was completely dumbfaced with the reason why which she was completely naked, like me, and with no shoes. Okay, guys, so I will tell you this now. We have to put the red ball now on the top of the video, guys. Okay, because he was naked and she just came in also naked. Okay, guys. So it may get a little hot here. Parental advisory is advised. Okay, guys. She was very beautiful, though a little different from our woman. Her hair was beautiful, almost white, like the discolored hair. Very fluffy, but not very abundant, and they were almost at the line of the neck, with the curled points on the inside, and she had the hair was divided in the middle of her head, half to one side and half to the other. Her eyes were big and blue, like Oriental girls when they paint to look like they're Oriental. They were like that, but more natural, without any makeup. The nose was straight, without being long or chubby. What would surprise was the face contours. The apples of the cheek were very salient, looking like she had a large face, but larger than the women from the South America women. But straight below, the face would turn very straight, finishing on a pointy chin. This detail could give to the inferior part of the face a perfect triangular shape. The lips were very fine, almost invisible. The ears, that I only saw later, were small and similar to the women of our planet. The apple cheeks were gave a sensation that there was bone below, but later I noticed that it was soft when you touched them and made of meat. None of this bony sensation. Her body was more beautiful than the women that I've met until now. She was slim, with the firm breasts, very separated. The the waist was thin, and she had large hips with no. The feet were small. The feet were small, and the hands were long, and the fingers and nails were normal. She was shorter than me. Her head reached my shoulders. We can deduce that if she was with the suit and the shoes and the helmet, she would reach my chin. But it could be the person that had grabbed him in the beginning of the adventure. So he says that this could be the person that grabbed him on the beginning of the adventure.